Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I have my next update for my Eyeshadow Roulette and Panda Eyeshadow project. So if you have not seen me do this project yet, I will first link my playlist down below so you guys can go check out those videos if you would like. And then, so the way I do this project is I have 5 shades that I randomly choose each month from my collection, and I just get some use out of those shades and then draw a new 5 the next month, so just kind of rotating through my collection. That is the eyeshadow roulette side of this, and then the Panda eyeshadow is where I choose one shade from my collection to focus on until I hit pan on it. So I have been updating both of these projects within the same video for the past few months, and that seems to be what people like, so I'm going to continue to do that. So for the month of August, I had my 5 shades in here, and I'm going to go through what each of those are looking like now, the usage I had on those. But before I do that, I do want to share a couple bonus pans with you guys. So my first pan comes from my BH Cosmetics Nuevo Neutrals palette, and as you can see here, it is this light matte pink shade. So this is my second pan in this palette, and I am super happy. I was pretty confident I'd be able to hit pan on this shade this month since I had another shade in this palette in this project. So I was pretty determined to hit pan on it, and it was pretty easy to do because I already had a pretty significant dip in it. So yeah, that is my first bonus pan. My second bonus pan comes from my ColourPop Midnight Masquerade palette, and it is in the shade Spinning Wheel. This one is a little harder to show you because the packaging is super reflective, but I think you can see that right there. So this palette I just used a couple times in conjunction with some of the shades that I had in this month, and I was able to hit pan on this shade, and I already had a pretty big dip in this one as well. So yeah, a couple more pans to my collection. Alright, so now we can get into the actual update for my shades from August. So the first palette I had in for Eyeshadow Roulette was my Ulta Beauty Gryffindor palette, and I have the shade Mandrake, so I will insert a picture of what that one looked like at the start of this month. And here is what we are looking like right now. So you can see a little bit of brushwork in here. I used this one a total of 5 times this past month, so not too significant of use, but it was pretty good. I do really enjoy this shade, so it's not one I see myself having trouble using in the future, but I did only use it 5 times this month, so there is only a little bit of usage. My next palette in was my NYX Ultimate Shadow palette and Ultimate Utopia, and I had shade number 9, so I will insert a picture of what that one looked like. And here is what we are looking like now. So you can see there is a nice little dip going in there. I used this one a total of 9 times, and I absolutely loved the shade. This one was for sure my favorite one to use this month. I had so much fun creating green looks and just learning how I like to use green on a daily basis, and it was a lot of fun, and this is a shade I'm going to definitely continue to reach for. I just really enjoyed it. So my next shade comes from my BH Cosmetics Nuevo Neutrals palette. So this is the first one that I had hit pan in. And I had shade number 2 in for this project, so I'll insert a picture of what that one looked like. And here it is right here. So there's not too much usage on this shade this month. I did use it a total of 4 times, but you can't really see any significant difference at all. It is a shade I do enjoy. I think it's really pretty. I love a good matte purple shade. So I did enjoy reaching for this shade, but I only used it 4 times. It is a little bit more cool toned, and you have to want that specific look, and that wasn't what I was reaching for all this month. But I was happy to get a few uses out of the shade and out of this palette, and it is definitely one I want to continue to pull out because I just kind of fell in love with this palette, and it's definitely one I am excited to use in the future. My next shade comes from my I Heart Revolution and Disney Aladdin palette, and I had the shade True Magic, so I will insert a picture of what that one looked like. And here is what this one looks like now. So you can see there is a little bit of disturbance in the pan. I, once again, only used this one 4 times, but I was pretty happy with that usage. This wasn't a shade I originally thought I was going to overly enjoy reaching for, but it turned out to be a really nice lid shade. It is a little bit more on the warm-toned orangey side, but when I was reaching for that sort of look, which I did a few times this month, it was a really nice shade to just throw on the lid, and it just looked really pretty. So I am happy that I got the shade and got to test it out and realize that I actually do enjoy it a little more than I thought I would. So that's kind of what this project is about for me, just figuring out how I like to use the shades in my collection, and I definitely did that with this shade. Alright, the final shade that I had in comes from my little I Heart Revolution Donut palette, and this is in the shade Raspberry Icing. And the shade that I had in this project was the shade number 5, so I will insert a picture of what that one looked like. And here is the shade right here. So you can see there is a little bit of usage right there. I used this on a liner brush both times that I used this, I believe. I only used it twice. This wasn't a shade that I really anticipated reaching for all that often. It looks a little bit more like deep berry toned, but it performs really like a hot pink. So it was for sure not an everyday shade for me, but I did like reaching for it a couple times, and once again just trying to figure out how I like to use it. It's definitely one I need to keep playing around with to find the best way for me to use it on a daily basis, but I did create a couple pretty looks with it, but you have to really want a hot pink look in order to reach for this shade. But I am happy that I got at least a couple uses out of it. So those are the 5 shades that I had in for the month of August. I hope you guys enjoyed that little update, and now we can get into drawing the new shades for September. Alright, on to my September shades. The first palette that I am rolling in is my Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. This is a pretty new palette in my collection, so I wanted to roll it in this month and get some good use out of it. So here are all of the shades. So pretty. So I have my Pretty Random app set from 1 to 18, and as a rule that I always use in this project, if a shade has pan in it or has already been in this project, I will re-roll, and for certain palettes, this one is going to be one of them. If I get like a pressed glitter shade, I am going to roll again, just because I don't really want to work on a pressed glitter. But we will randomize 1 to 18 through this palette, and we get number 1. So number 1 is the shade Desert Sand. So Desert Sand is the matte cream shade in this palette. It's a pretty basic shade, but it will allow me to get some use out of this entire palette, rather than if I got like a purple shade, I would only really want to create purple looks and so on like that. So this is actually a nice shade to get because it'll allow me to get some good use out of this palette, and it's just going to be an easy shade to reach for. And like I said, this is a really new palette in my collection, so this one doesn't have too much use to start out with, but I am excited to get some use on it this month. My next palette up is my Wet n Wild Au Naturel palette, and this one is kind of older in my collection. It's definitely been pretty well loved. I have pan in 4 shades in this palette, but it is one that I have been wanting to reach for a little bit more, so I wanted to roll it in this month. And there are 10 shades in this palette, so we will go ahead and randomize. Get shade number 5. So 5 is this goldish shade right here. So here is an up-close view of this shade. It's not my favorite in this palette, I will admit, but I do want to get some use out of this palette as it is older in my collection, so I am going to try and reach for this one as many times as I can. My next palette up is my CoverGirl True Naked Peach Punch palette, and this one has 8 shades in it. Zoom in a little. So this one has 8 shades, so I'll randomize 1 to 8. We get shade number 4. And shade number 4 has actually already been in this project, so I am going to roll again, and we get number 6. So number 6 is this dark purple shimmer over here. So here is an up-close view of what this shade looks like. It's one that I have used a couple of times, but on the whole I haven't used this palette all that much, so I am excited to reach for it this month and hopefully get some good use out of it. It is a really pretty shade, and these shades actually feel super buttery when you swatch them, so they do perform pretty nicely, I feel like, and I am excited to use it. So my next palette up is my Be Bella Cosmetics Daisy Days palette. And this one has 16 shades in it. So, of course, I will randomize 1 to 16. And we get shade number 1. So, shade number 1 is Dawn. This is another super light shade. So, here is what this one looks like up close. It is a pretty white shade, so it is different than the Desert Sand shade from my Huda Beauty palette, so I am going to stick with keeping this one in, and hopefully I will be able to get some good use out of it. I don't typically use like pure white shades like this, so I am interested to see how I like the performance of this one. Alright, then my final palette we will be rolling in this month is my Glitter Realm A Whole New World palette. And I wanted to just reach for this again this year because I feel like I could definitely get some good use out of it. Now that it's getting to the end of the year, this is one of my favorite palettes. So I am going to randomize 1 to 18. And we get number 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is the shade Jafar. So here is what this one looks like up close. I'm actually really excited about rolling this one in. I think it'll be a lot of fun to use, and it is a little bit more on the neutral side in this palette, so I will be able to use it for my everyday looks, which is going to be really nice, and I will also be able to pair it with some of the fun pops of color in this palette as well. So this is going to be a really fun shade to work on for this month. So those are all 5 of these shades I will be rolling in for September. Let me know what you think of the color story. I will include a picture of these swatches right now. So let me know what you think of the shades that I have in for the month, and maybe what you guys would do with them. If you want to give me some ideas, that would be great. And next we will go into my update for my Pan That eyeshadow. So stay tuned. Alright, the final part of this video is going to be my Pan That eyeshadow update. And if you didn't see last month, I rolled in the Wet n Wild Stop Playing Safe palette, shade number 8. And in that update, I feel like I only used that once or twice. And now I have used it a total of 9 times. So I'm going to go ahead and insert some progress pictures, and then I will show you the close-up of where we are at now. So this is the shade I have been working on, this shimmery green shade, and like I said, I have used it a total of 9 times now, which I'm actually really happy about. It was a shade I didn't really think I was going to use that much, but I was able to pair it with the green shade that I had from the NYX palette, and I created some really pretty everyday green looks, and I really just kind of fell in love with it. So there is a little bit of a dip forming, you can see just right in the center of the pan there. I have mostly been using this one on a liner brush or a small little pencil brush on the lower lash line. That is kind of how I like to use color on a daily basis. So this is a very concentrated dip area, and it's going to be a pretty concentrated pan once I get there. But we are not quite there yet. I'm still anticipating I'm going to need to use it about at least 20 times total before I can get to a pan, but we will see. I am still enjoying this shade, so it's not one that I am in a super big rush to roll out, but of course it's always nice to get a new pan in my collection. So I'm just going to keep working on it. I'm hoping if I can do 9 uses a month, that seems like a pretty good usage goal, and I am excited to continue to reach for it. So that concludes this update. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future updates. I update this project once a month on the first Tuesday of every month, and then I post videos every Tuesday each week. If you are interested in watching those, I do a lot of eyeshadow related content, so if that interests you, then please do subscribe. And with all of that, I will see you all in my next video. Bye!